Hi everyone, I'm Ronak from Agarwal, welcome to your new episode on the Like Minded podcast show. Today we'll be talking about alliance strategies, go to market strategies from the eyes of an alliance head. I'm very excited to host Sudeep Trivedi on my show, who is the Alliance and GTM Head for Logitech. He has provided lots of insights into business, go to market strategies, on technology roadmaps, market leaderships across different industry lineups and from startups to the mainstream companies. So I'd like to welcome Sudeep. Sudeep, thank you for joining in today.
Yeah, it's great to be here with you, Ronak. I really look forward to this conversation with you and your audience here.
Thank you, Sudeep, and I'm really glad that you took out this time today. I'll start off because alliance and go to market will go to these strategies later on. But if you can, briefly describe what you do in your day-to-day job and how are you helping companies and people around yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So the way we kind of look at the role of alliance and go to market and some of these functions that I'm responsible for within Logitech is so at the core, Logitech is a product company. We make products, hardware
Yeah,
products, software, but in the end, we make products. But then, as we look at the marketplace, the customers have specific business needs. They have specific pain points, and they are looking for solutions to address those pain points and their needs. So the way we look at the world of alliances and ecosystem is how can we take our products and map them into those business needs and pain points and requirements that our customers have, and how can we make that whole experience for customers to implement the solutions that leverage our product better. So how can we provide them the right pieces of puzzle, pieces of Legos, whichever analogy you want to use, to make it easier for them to implement their solution using our products. And so that's the kind of core starting point is providing customers those building blocks, pieces of puzzles. But
right.
then, how do we build a whole business with
Yeah,
those ecosystem alliance partners? And that's where the go to market, some of those joint activities come into play. But in the end, again, it starts with that view of how do we use these alliances and ecosystem partners to help address the customer need by providing them those building blocks.
right, right. And in brief, I'm sure people know about Logitech, but in brief, what does Logitech do and what kind of products Logitech makes?
Yeah, so Logitech is about 40 years old company. So one of kind of the early stage companies in the technology industry, as back in '80s when the whole PC world was evolving.
Yeah,
So we've been in the business for almost 40 years now, and we've gone through a few transformations. I'm sure some of your audience members know of Logitech as mice
yeah,
and keyboard provider,
yeah.
and we absolutely continue to do quite well in that business. But since then, we've kind of expanded our scope and horizon. And the way we look at things is our role in the world of technology is more about how do we look at the human interaction needs? How do we look at extending the human potential as
Right.
you work or as you play or as you use technology in your life in general? So we've kind of expanded our scope and think about what are all those digital experiences you have at your home, in your life, as you
Yeah,
play games, as you work. So, what are those digital experiences that you're consuming, and how can we enhance and extend the human element to it? How do you interact with those digital experiences? So, we have solutions, for gaming. Logitech G is a pretty well-known brand for gaming. For personal workspaces,
yeah,
mice, keyboards, headsets, webcams, and for work, for
right,
when you go to the office, solutions for video conferencing in the meeting rooms to
yeah,
a whole range of solutions around that.
right,
So yeah, so the way we think about it is how can we address the human needs on how you connect to the digital world, and specifically when it comes to our solutions for work, which is where
Right.
I would imagine your audience is kind of more interested in learning more. Uh, the way we think about it is how can we address the needs for all people, all spaces globally?
Right.
And I would be
Right.
happy to chat more with you about how we think about it and how alliances and go to market kind of help us address those needs
Right.
for all people in all spaces with one standardized global approach.
Right. Right. No, I agree, and I'm sure everybody knows Logitech. I've been a consumer of Logitech products. I'm using a Logi camera. I have a Logi ergonomic mouse with me, and
Nice.
so on. So
Great to
uh,
hear.
yeah, I mean, I think when I hear the term Logitech, it's just part of my life in some shape or form, because you are basically helping us experience technology through the use of your products. We can talk about a lot about software products, but how to engage with the software is through some kind of hardware device, and that's where you
Exactly.
get in. Yeah.
Exactly, and we are kind of humble in the way we talk about ourselves, but it is an kind of a well-known, iconic brand, its own way. I will say that we have gone through a couple of transformations over last 40 years or so that we have been in the business. I talked a little bit about kind of extending our mission or vision beyond just a PC peripheral provider to
Right.
just looking at needs of human connections and working, how humans interact with technology in general. But the second transformation that we are very proud of that we have gone through is being more of a design focused organization.
Right.
Logitech has always been known for great, high quality, functional sort of hardware products that we make. But then over the last 10 years or so, we've been thinking a lot about how do we elevate that from a design experience perspective, user experience perspective.
Right.
And we have made a lot of progress in that regard. Products
Yeah.
continue to be high quality and provide great functionality. But now, we feel that we have improved, but obviously a lot more to go in terms
Right.
of using design to provide better experiences of how people work with our products.
Right. No, I agree. I agree with you, and I've seen that happen with across multiple organizations. Forget the personal space, even in the office space, where Logitech is the biggest producer of, let's say, meeting room devices, and you are leading in that space as well, with even with adapting new technologies from Microsoft Zoom or whoever it is.
Yeah.
It's been very flexible in that sense with Logitech. But in regards to Alliance and go to market, what's how are you taking care of the partner connect programs that you've built with Logitech, and how is it helping the entire ecosystem, including the customers?
Yeah, so happy to talk about that. And so there's kind of two ways, I would say broadly, we partner with organizations. One is what we call as technology alliances. So these are ecosystem alliances where
Mm.
there's a technology integration typically involved, where we are kind of putting two technologies together to solve customers' business problems. And then that kind of drives some more go to market sort of engagement. So that's one category that I would call as ecosystem or technology alliances. And the second category is type of partnerships we have around channels. Companies that take our products, provide value-added services to help close the gap between what the customers need and what
Right.
our products are doing. And that's where we've always been a very channel-oriented organization. Pretty much all of Logitech business flows via channel. So being very, very focused on how do we work with a variety of partners globally. And over the years, we have had a few channel programs on how we work with the channel partners, and had a few learnings on how we can work better with our channel partners, how we can support them in terms of helping them grow their business around our products. And we took all of that learning, and last year we launched this new Logitech Partner Connect program that you referred. And that is, we are super, super excited and happy with the reception that we've gotten with that program as well, which is now rolled out globally. And the whole idea about that program was how can we work with our channel partners and customers globally in a consistent way. So in the
Right.
past, we've had channel programs in North America and Europe and Asia Pacific, and they all had slight variations, and that makes it harder if you're a global
Yeah.
customer wanting to do business with us. So we now we've rolled out a consistent global program. We have also put a lot of thinking around how to reward those value-added partners, who are providing specific value-added
Right.
services, whether it's for design, consultation, installation, management, support services, what have you. Uh, how do
Right.
we recognize and encourage partners who are investing in learning and development and truly becoming
Mm.
specialists
Yeah.
around our products in the marketplace? And then also have some more maturity in terms of how we work with our partners in terms of joint business planning,
Right.
KPIs, targets. And so, yes, super, super excited about this Partner Connect program that we have launched
Yeah.
for channel partners. Now, for alliance partners, the technology ecosystem alliance partners, we have always had a global program for, I would say, at least last 7+ years. We call it LCP, Logitech Collaboration Partner Program, and that's how we work with companies like Zoom and Samsung and a lot of such other players who are kind
Right.
of complementary to us, that we work via an alliance framework.
Right. 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 And I think when you were answering, there were few uh, experiences that I was thinking about. One was your consistent global channel approach helps other companies who are providing your solutions to customers have a better strategy, because it's going to be the same answer globally. It may differ based on the region, but from your perspective it's the same approach. So for me, if I'm talking to you for United States versus Asia, I know what answer I will get. So it first of all
Yes,
improves my time, or response time to my customer. I know that it's a consistent approach from your side, so it helps me create my own solution and wrappings on top of it. And I've experienced this with global customers. When you don't have consistent channel strategy with one vendor, you yourself are limiting your own growth as an OEM. uh, we will go with a
absolutely.
vendor which has a better approach globally.
Absolutely, and it just creates friction in the process as you're creating
Yes.
quotations of solutions or responding to RFPs or
Right.
trying to implement solutions. It just makes that much harder if you don't have a
Mm. Right.
consistent global approach. So
Right.
again, we've learned a lot, made a lot of progress. Obviously, a lot more to do in that regard because it's a very complex business
Yeah.
problem to solve in terms of having a truly consistent way of doing business around the world. But we totally understand it needs to be
Right.
done to reduce friction in the process.
Right. Right. Even recently, Zoom. Why I'm giving this example is because Zoom was very non-partner oriented organization, I would say 3 years ago. But now they have improved their alliance channels with including with their technology partnerships or channel partnerships, and they have a dedicated framework around channel and alliances. So uh, if companies like these also investing in this alliance and channel strategy, I'm sure. And a lot of the large organizations, I know of a fact that HP, that HP does almost, I think, 3/4 of their revenue from channel. They don't hardly they do anything from direct. Similar, Microsoft, they go through channel partnerships. So it's, I think that strategy has worked for OEMs, because
Yeah,
of the larger
absolutely.
there.
Yep. Didn't mean to interrupt, but I'll say from our perspective, I wouldn't be surprised if more than 99% of our
Yeah.
business goes via channel. That's how much we value the channel and want
Yeah.
to work with the channel to
Yeah.
jointly
And
take care
I've
of the
been to your
customers.
portal as well, where it's not just about deals or revenue. You get to learn a lot of stuff. You have your new updates coming in, equipment details. So much to learn from the partner portal, and in increase your knowledge as well. So I think it's just not a tool to sell. It's just for your own knowledge, your simple certifications, be it technology trainings, be it pre-sales trainings or whatever. So that is also there on your portal.
Absolutely, yeah. So we a few years ago we launched this. So there's obviously a partner portal where you can do the business side of things and kind of manage your whole
Yeah.
partnership. But we also have a specialized portal for learning. We call it Logitech University
Right.
that our channel partners can access. And I think that's what you're referring to.
Yeah.
And it's had a phenomenal adoption. We literally have hundreds of thousands of people using that portal to learn as we launch new products, to get more acquainted with new software capability, AI capabilities. Um, We've also created a badge program where you can
Right.
earn badges for specific skills, and those are kind of portable badges. Like even if you change jobs or take a
Yeah.
different role, yeah, that whole badge program has worked really well for us as well in terms of getting channel partners invest more time in learning and applying those learnings as they help the customers.
Right. 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 And if if I think the one of the most important questions is, we are talking about channel alliances, but how do you or your team approach forming those alliances and partnerships?
Yeah, that's a great question. And, each organization kind of has a different approach to it. I'll say philosophically, I've always had the belief, and Logitech has had the belief, that the alliances and these sort of partnerships should never be about just the PR, just the
Right.
PR aspect of it in terms of creating a buzz in the market.
Right.
For us, the core philosophy is we always start with what does the market need? What
Right.
is the customer requirement, customer pain point? What is the market need that we could potentially address with this specific alliance? And over the years, we have matured that framework in terms of looking at those market needs and then prioritizing those in terms of what is the business impact of this alliance versus what's the strategic sort of impact. And you kind of
Right.
draw in comparing those two axes is that there are some alliances which are very strategic but may not have immediate business impact,
Right.
whereas there are some which may have a very immediate near-term business impact but may not be strategic. But anyway, just kind of figuring that out, doing that homework of how does it help the customer, what's the business impact, what's the
Right.
strategic impact. So do all of that analysis up front, and then um, go all into that alliance to build your business. That's the approach we take to evaluate new alliances and to invest in the alliances that we currently have.
Right. 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 And in my experience, I've seen, not with Logitech but with some other vendor, where you go into a partnership when you have a deal. You usually would want to invest when there is something to work upon that gives
Yeah,
benefit to both the organization. So that's like a jump start into getting into alliance, because you have a deal and you start those conversation on a deal.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, it's always very hard to do that balance because there are certain things that you have the gut feel that yes, I should work with this company because there is a lot of possibilities, but with limited resources or whatever, sometimes you kind of have to do it in a more reactive manner where you wait for a
Yeah.
customer to ask for something or the market to ask for something and then you respond. So
Right.
it's hard to do that balance, but yes, you have to look at it both ways because in certain instances you have to make that investment with your gut feel or assessment of the market and make that investment upfront, whereas in other cases you
Yeah.
do it in a more reactive sort of fashion.
Yeah, I think it's just like you said, gut feel and business case. Yeah, it just because I think there are many companies who come with a business case but has no value in it,
Right.
and that you would realize when you read their proposal and what they're trying to do.
Agreed. Agreed.
So in alliances, because I think in your role, it's just not. See, I think what I realize is when you have direct control of certain people, you can get the job done. But
Yeah.
in your role, you don't have direct control even within internal as well as external partners. So how do you foster that collaboration where you don't have direct control of the people that you're working with?
You've hit a very very important and the trickiest aspect of being in alliance sort of role where you are responsible for the whole business. Let's say my team, me, we are responsible for literally hundreds of millions of dollars of business that we have, let's say, with Microsoft as an alliance partner. Uh, but then the product teams, the marketing teams, the sales
Mm.
teams, the channel manager, none of those kind of report to you.
Yes.
You in a matrix sort of organization, you're trying to drive the business forward with all those respective functional areas. So that is the trickiest, most
Mm.
challenging, yet the most exciting aspect of the job. How do you keep the business going in that sort of construct? The approach that I take with such cross-functional sort of thing is, first of all, always align the goal.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll take even a step back. Start with why. Why does the business need to invest? Going to my example, let's say Microsoft as an alliance partner. So why does a Microsoft alliance matter? What's in it for the business overall? And do that alignment with everybody. That, look, if we have this X% growth goal for next year, the best way to achieve that goal is for us to invest in this Microsoft or Zoom or Google, whatever specific partnership, and then lay it out in their terms on, it's not just my goal. Hey, sales team, hey, marketing team, you have these goals for next year, and this is how this work that we would do with an alliance partner will help you achieve those goals.
Right.
So kind of
Right.
aligning, starting with why, aligning those goals, and then obviously working jointly with them on KPIs and prioritization, so that there is a full, you're kind of working in lockstep. To me, those are some of the most important things to make sure you're aligned with cross-functional teams, and you
Right.
get the business going with for your alliance partner in this kind of matrixed
Right.
organization.
Right. And how important, because I've worked in this setup, and know from a third person view as well when I speak to alliance people. And uh, is it important for you, so if it's an external channel partner or whoever, is it important for you to know who you're talking to, even because you could be explaining all the good things to that person, but that person is not even responsible for the things to happen. So I think when you work with larger companies in your
Yeah.
channel, uh, there are so many people. So I think for you, is it important to know the person's role in the other organization, what he is capable to do, what he is not, and who is capable to do what?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. In the end, you know, it has to matter to that person, and the business proposition you have, working with a channel partner, alliance partner, whatever objective you want to achieve. In the end, it it has to matter to their success and
Right.
their world. And if not, if it's not that clear or apparent, you have to frame your value proposition or business proposition in a way that they can see how this relationship is going to help them achieve their objectives, their individual goals and targets.
Right.
And at times, the first person you talk to may not be the right person
Right.
who is able to help you achieve your goal. But then how do you leverage that person to get to eventually to the right stakeholder who
Right.
cares about your proposition, and who has the same priorities and goals? So that is an important piece as well.
Right. Right. Yeah, I think even in our I know I can there is an example that I can share where there was an ex-customer, and we were hammering one of the own service owners with all the solutions. But then we realized that that service owner is only taking care of half of the portfolio. The solution that we want to sell was not taken care by someone, some other person, and we were not hammering him with the solution. So 2 years we did that, and then we realized it's a different person, and we then realigned our strategy, went to the right person, and now we have more
Yeah,
business from that company.
makes sense.
So I think that's where the whole I think my mindset changed, that whatever strategy you have, irrespective of which where you want to go, but if you're not speaking to the right person, then nothing can happen.
That's absolutely right.
Right. So in your because in your role, you would evaluate new markets as well. So, like, what kind of factors do you consider when evaluating new markets, or reevaluating the existing markets for expansion and growth?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And in terms of expansion, growth, opportunities, there's different ways to think about it. One is different dimensions, different ways. So one is geographic sort of expansion,
Right.
or market expansion opportunity. So that's one way. Second is verticals. From in a B2B perspective, whether it's enterprise, SMB, education, healthcare, government, good those vertical sort of
Right.
things, um, focus areas give you a market or growth expansion opportunity. And the third, I would say, is functional areas. So, for
Right.
example, last, as you mentioned, we've been a leader in video conferencing space. But then, are there any adjacent kind of spaces, functional areas, markets that we should participate in terms of
Right.
opportunities? For example, recently we got into hot desking. We saw a need that more and more organizations are trying to optimize their real estate footprint and implementing hoteling, hot desking, flex desking, those sort of models. So that's another way to look at market expansion, which is kind of an adjacent category or market area. So as we look at growth and market expansion, I would say primarily we look at geographic sort of expansion,
Right.
vertical or market segment expansion, and then third is functional market category, product category,
Right.
sort of expansion, and kind of
Right.
evaluate, and these are different knobs and levers, if you will, right? And when you do business planning, sometimes you have to do all three.
Right.
That to achieve your growth objectives, you have to enter new geographies or double down on certain geographies.
Right.
Maybe get into new verticals or shift your focus in verticals,
Right.
and then think about which categories you're participating in and kind of tweak your investments in those categories.
Right. Right. And I think your channel partnership also helps you, because if you have your partners already in the country that can push your message, then use them to talk about your products and services in that region, or with the same customer, be it functional or any way of expansion that you spoke about.
Absolutely. Each of these market expansion approaches requires identifying and working with the right set of channel partners. Geographics, that's a given. If you want to
Right.
expand into, let's say, China, we have to figure out who are the right
Right.
channel partners that we should work with, who are focused on China, know the market well, who can help us
Right.
execute. Same for verticals. Let's say if we want to do more in the education market, it's a
Right.
very specialized vertical. So, who are those channel partners who understand the needs of education customers and can help us do more in that market? And
Right.
similarly, the new market category, let's say I mentioned this hot desking category,
Right.
it's a new area. It requires different set of skills, different set of channel partners,
Right.
and so, how can we identify the right set of partners who are talking to the right set of buyers for
Right.
that category?
Right. Right.
Um,
Right. So yeah, I mean, I think it's this thing is often missed, but it's very important that you have proper. You just, when you talk about expansion, it's just not in one line. You see, there are so many ways you can expand, and
yeah.
for sales, it's important, because you know if you're not maybe getting sales through one way of selling, you may try. If you, let's say it's product selling, you're not able to do, maybe do verticalized selling or something,
Hmm.
some other. And I think that's where they can come back to you for ideas as to how they can go about selling the products and services in the market.
That's right.
So because see, your I think your role spans across marketing, sales, product, because you're kind of in between and helping every team. So how do you ensure alignment between different teams in this go to market process that you have?
Yeah. So, going back to the conversation we were just having, like, none of those teams report to you.
Yeah.
So, how do you move the ball forward, if you will, to use a sports analogy, in that sort of scenario? And to me, it comes down to establishing those clear goals, joint
Right.
goals, having alignment towards those goals, maybe KPIs, and not just once at the
Right.
start of the year or whatever, but having those constant alignments to make sure um, both teams know how each other is supposed
Right.
to
Right.
do their own respective parts to achieve the goal. One of the things I also like to do in these sort of cross-functional engagements, and where feel like when, let's say, you're an alliance person trying to get something done and you feel stuck, is start with why and not how
Right.
or what.
Right.
A lot of times we immediately get to, like, hey, I want you to do this. And that's when people will say, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
First of all, who are you to ask me to drop everything and do what you're asking me to do, right?
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
report to you. I have different
Yeah.
priorities. I'm
Yeah.
busy already. I don't have time for you. So the conversation needs to shift, and it has to be around why.
Right.
Start off with why what I'm bringing to you is important and it
Right.
matters to the business, to your objectives, and then let that person come up with ideas and
Right.
solutions on what they can do, how they can help you, what they can do. So yeah, again, not start with what, but why, and let them come up with answers for what and how and when.
Right.
And so then things start to fall into place.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's, yeah. You're right. Because others think that you're trying to give me work, but why should I work for you?
Exactly. Always the easiest answer is no, right?
Yeah. And when most emails have something like it's very urgent, do it now. I mean, you just misuse we just misuse the urgent word because every email I get is like, we need to do it today. It's very urgent. I'm like, out of 10 emails, 9 says urgent. Which one should I do?
Exactly. And it's urgent for the sender, not for the
Yeah.
receiver. That's really the biggest issue. So how do you create sense of urgency for the recipient who is supposed to, you're expecting a response or an action from?
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, I think your role is very tricky that you have to have flexibility because I'm sure, people do come to you, they might be coming to you and saying things which they should not because you and them are just, advocating your company's strategy. But sometimes when it is not conveyed properly, it just creates friction.
Yeah.
Um, so in terms of the market, how do you, because market is changing so much and dynamics are changing with so much into AI and other stuff. So how is your strategy, very agile and adapted to go to market strategy? Because if you are not clear, your sales will have issues because they won't be able to sell properly.
Right.
So how do you keep yourself and your strategies agile and adapt to the go to market strategy?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and a very important part of the job, which is to proactively look for market sensors on
Right.
what does the market need, how is the industry shifting, how are the customer needs shifting, and that's where I feel like having the right balance between how much time you're spending facing outwards versus
Right.
inward comes into play. A lot of people, are spending, I would say, in our sort of roles, are spending too much time internally
Right.
trying to fix internal things to get things done. And the more internal focused you are, you're losing focus of those market sensors on what's
Right.
happening outside. So having that right balance always helps. Where I would say more than 50% of the time you should be spending outside,
Right.
listening to customers, channel partners, what's listening to industry analysts and
Right.
trade shows, and just kind of getting those market sensors on how the industry shifting, customer
Right.
needs shifting, and then bring that in to implement some of those shifts that are happening.
Right.
Um, and the other thing I would say is, as you do that, it's striking that right balance between short-term goals and long-term
Right.
strategies.
Right.
Just because you're starting to see some sensors in the market about new needs, you cannot just drop everything you are doing and
Right.
shift
Right.
to that, because you have revenue goals to deliver, which are here and now. So how do you kind of balance that priority that, okay, 70-80% of my time, resources, budgets, whatever, I'm going to spend on what's needed here and now for this
Right.
quarter, but then
Right.
I also need to nurture this new stream because I'm seeing this shift in the market. So I'm
Right.
going to invest more time, resources, budgets, whatever, in nurturing that new area. And that's something you have to constantly reevaluate.
Right.
I'm a big believer in experimentation and learning from those experimentations.
Right.
So you always have to um, kind of try something, see what you learn from it, tweak your strategy, and
Right.
then kind of implement and just continue to iterate on that.
I think that would be your biggest challenge as well, because you, like you said, you can't just drop the ball and just think about something new completely. It's I think that would be your biggest challenge, I would assume, in terms of your role.
Yeah, again, because you have business goals, revenues, targets, KPIs that you are supposed to deliver.
Yeah.
And just because you're starting to see some new needs come in, it doesn't mean that you can drop what you're
Right.
doing.
Right. Right. Yes. And how do you manage these relationships, especially with channel partners and distributors? Because that is directly related to your reach and sales targets.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have within our commercial sales organization, we have dedicated group of people who are focused on managing our distribution partner relationships to
Okay.
reseller relationships, and there's different constructs we have depending on type of partnership we have, and
Right.
kind of our joint business goals with those partners, where they are looking at kind of joint business planning to MDF. How do we invest the joint market development funds to drive
Right.
activities? Um, so yeah, it's a very robust kind of a whole organization structure we have in place to work
Right.
closely with distribution partners, reseller, channel partners, and so on and so forth.
Right. And right. And I think you're investing into your software solution as well for managing the endpoints, which is your Logitech Sync. Uh,
Yes.
I think that's a whole new dimension, services dimension that you've forayed into now. Um,
Absolutely. One of the post-COVID, a huge transformation we have seen in the market is, before then, the collaboration tools, video conferencing tools, I would say, were considered nice to have, you
yeah.
know, uh,
Yeah.
not a must-have.
Not a
But
must-have.
post-COVID, it has changed. I mean, again, I'll admit and say that whatever we used to do before then didn't make into top 5 or maybe even top 10
No.
priorities for the CIO. It just wasn't. But since then, with hybrid work becoming a core element of how you work, and it's just become mission critical, and that has really shifted the dynamic. It has made into top 5, if not top 10, in terms of CIO priorities. So
Right.
what does that mean? That means the IT managers, AV managers, whoever are managing this kind of implementation internally, they are looking at it as with a lot more rigor. The
Right.
uptime, SLAs, having visibility, having analytics,
Right.
insights.
Right.
Those have become so much more important, because again, it's the fabric of how your company works.
Right.
Um, so we are starting to see huge need in the market to provide services around taking care of customers' environment,
Right.
from a managed services perspective to deployment services perspective, to even more kind of higher value added services around analytics and insights, so that organizations can implement these tools
Mm.
in the most effective manner. And that's where, to be honest, as if I see the continuum, the in terms of how our channel partners are helping customers,
Right.
it's moving up. You took care of the basic installation sort of things. Then it was more around, you know, um, doing it in a more robust
Right.
sort of fashion with managed services, stuff like that. Now it's more about analytics and insights and um, helping customers do better
Right.
with their human resources.
Yeah, because that your analytics are tied up to their infrastructure, because not many companies need a lot of infrastructure these days. So they are using your statistics and building their facilities accordingly, and
Exactly.
engagement and so on. And user experience, like you said, is the key right now. So if
Yeah.
you're, I can go about using any device that I want, but if I don't know the user experience aspect of the device, then might as well not use it.
Right. So
Right.
experience is absolutely key. And going back to my comment around analytics and insight, there's such a huge need in terms of getting better data on
Right.
meeting rooms. How are the meeting rooms used?
Yeah.
How many people actually are in the meeting rooms? What days of the week, which part of the office is more occupied? Which neighborhoods
Yeah.
have more occupancy than others? Desk utilization and analytics and predictions on that. Yeah, tremendous opportunities, for our channel partners like
Right.
you and others in terms of building those sort of services.
Right. Right. No, I agree with that, and that these have been the requirements from customers these days. They don't ask you for a product; they ask you for a service. So
Hmm.
I think that these analytics, and another thing that I find good about Logitech is the sustainability quotient, because the products are made from sustainable equipment, and it's not nice to have anymore, to be very honest, especially in the European side where sustainability is given the most priority. And you're selling a product which is made from sustainable raw materials, and
Right.
the services are sustainable, and so on. So it's a value add. It's what they want here.
Absolutely, it is. I'm glad you brought it up because it is such an important piece of
Right.
how you implement these technologies in the organization, and it is something you have to think of right from the beginning. So we have this
Right.
philosophy of designing for sustainability, where sustainability starts with the day on the drawing board. You think about what
Right.
components I'm going to use, what materials I'm going to use, how am I, what sort of supply chain I'm going to build to manufacture these products, what facilities are going to.
Right.
So you have to have that all up view right from the beginning.
Yes.
And we are definitely very proud of all the progress we have made. Just a couple of months ago at ISC in Barcelona, we announced that all of our latest generation of Rally Bar, Tap IP, and all of those CollabOS devices are now made with uh, post-consumer recycled plastics, which
Right.
is a huge progress in the industry. We are doing a lot of work around energy efficiency,
Right.
um, and we have this whole effort around carbon labeling, which I could again talk about, which is such an interesting way to tackle this problem. And if you just give me 1 minute, I can share with you. So the thinking there is, let's say you go to a grocery store, supermarket to buy a bag of chips or cookies
Right.
or whatever food item. You have a full clarity on what you're consuming. So as an individual, you know how many calories there are, how much fat,
Right.
sugar, you have the whole clarity. Why not bring the same sort of transparency and clarity to your hardware product that you're implementing in your
Right.
organization? So we started this program for carbon labeling of hardware products where you have each of our products will have full clarity on what is your carbon impact from
Right.
manufacturing to distribution to usage, so that you as a consumer know the choices that you're consciously making those choices on selecting the
Right.
right product to meet your goals.
Right.
And we are happy to share all that framework with anybody in the industry, because the whole industry has to make
Right.
a lot of progress in this area to achieve the goals.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I think that definitely I think the ingredients and the what kind of calories you're eating, I think that's important. At least I've seen majorly happening within Europe, and or if it's an oil and gas company, and every company after, I think, one of the environment conferences, every company had created a goal of becoming carbon neutral by 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and the industries and the regions which are producing the largest amount of carbon are looking at it very important, looking at this aspect now, because they want to become carbon free in 20 years. So how can they become if they have a device which is you know emitting carbon?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we have set a very ambitious goal, by the way. So we are carbon neutral already. We've been for a few years, but we have set a very ambitious goal that by 2030, so just about 6 years from now, we'll
Yeah,
be carbon positive. Uh,
yeah,
it's a lot of work.
yeah,
It's
it is.
we're a hardware company that by
Yeah,
the
yeah,
very nature creates more
yeah,
carbon.
it is.
It's a lot of work, but we feel that we have to put a stake in the ground,
Yeah,
and that's how
yeah,
progress will be made.
yeah. No, I'm sure, and I think that's what is the ask of this hour right now,
Hmm.
and companies like yourselves are putting effort, and like you said, you've created a framework as well for you to share with the world. It's
Right.
like a philanthropic work done through a company, because if others can learn from your framework and do something good, then why not? So that's a very
Absolutely.
good thing. Right,
Absolutely.
right. I think I'll just maybe ask one or two questions to you. It's been a really exciting discussion so far. You've mentioned KPIs couple of times, so just wanted to understand, how do you, because I can run initiatives and not think about them, but that doesn't help you. So how do you measure the success of it? What are the KPIs that you look for,
Wow.
go-to-market strategy or alliance?
Yeah, great question. And to me, so yes, absolutely, we need to have KPIs for everything. That's how you measure
Right,
progress, success. But it's also important not to be completely KPI driven,
right,
because there are certain areas where it's hard to have the right type of KPIs, or KPIs can mislead you as well, or not.
right,
But anyway, to short answer to your question. So in terms of kind of existing businesses, when we, let's say, measure how our alliance with Microsoft, Zoom, Google, some of these partners is going, we set very specific goals around revenue generated, um, um, activations. Let's say how many meeting rooms we are enabling for video conferencing with Teams, Zoom, Google, so on and so forth. Growth, what sort of growth and market adoption we are seeing. For some of the newer areas, newer alliances, I set KPIs more in terms of number of lighthouse wins. Where if you're kind of incubating a new area, it's probably too early, too premature to set specific KPIs around numbers and growth. And so to me, it's more about validation, and the validation can come from number of lighthouse customer wins to number of design wins, or specific functionality that you want to see certain number of customers adopt. So yeah, so for some of those early kind of alliances or new areas, I like to use those
right,
slightly fluffier KPIs, if you will. Whereas
right.
for more mature sort of businesses, the KPIs would be around revenues and volume and
Okay.
targets.
Right, right, right. Because I think it helps you keep track of your own goals as well with
Absolutely.
these KPIs. And like you said, you just can't follow the data everywhere. You have to use your uh, wisdom in terms of
Right.
outside the KPI. Right.
Agreed.
I think one question this would be my last question to you. How do you uh, because alliance channels go to market uh, is been in the news for after COVID, especially. This has become
Mhm.
very important uh, uh, area for a company to grow in. So, how do you see this happening in the future? What are the future direction for alliances, for channels go to market? Is
Yeah.
there a use of AI in terms of your decision making? How is it that how do you see the future happening in this role?
Yeah. So first of all, we've been chatting for what 40 plus minutes, and AI hadn't come so far. So I was just waiting for it. I mean, there's just so many possibilities around AI in
Right.
general, from products to take care of customers' needs, and it's such a transformative thing. But in general, to answer your question, though, in where is the world going in terms of alliance, go to market, all of this? So AI or not, in general, the whole technology landscape is getting super, super complex. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot going on at a much faster pace as well. I
Right.
mean, with AI itself, we've seen the pace of innovation has
Right.
gone up so much. So with a lot going on, a lot faster, how do you stay competitive? How do you take care of customers' needs in a faster, more efficient sort of manner? And there's, if you think about it, there's really three ways to do things. You either build it yourself, you
Right.
buy it via acquisition, or you partner.
Right.
And to me, both build and buy have resource limitations, because in the end, you only have so many people or budgets. So
Right.
there's only so much you can do with build and buy. And that's why more than ever, this partnership angle, whether it's alliance or channel sort of partnerships, is important. That's the only way people can stay competitive
Right.
and keep up with the market needs. So I really feel like the whole alliance, go to market, joint partnership sort of way of doing business is going to grow exponentially, because that's the only way you can stay competitive in fast moving market like today's.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, I again, this is some of. I think this particular line of work is so critical for revenue, but you don't have direct control on most of the people having its own challenges, and then still being competitive, knowing the product. And so I think in that sense your role encompasses everything, because you have to have knowledge of the product, sales pipelines, revenue, alliances, what other companies are doing. So in terms of that, I think, like you said, being competitive is important, but knowing what you have is also very important. Without that,
Right.
I don't think you have even your internal audience would not give you enough ears if you don't know what you're speaking about. So I think in that sense your role is so important, and this, especially this podcast, where I wanted to explore more on this and make people understand that who doesn't know about channel alliances, that's this is what is happening, and everybody should know that it's so important. And I think many people join companies as a technical resource, but if you're good at talking and good at building relationships, I think this is one of the lines that they could pursue.
I would love to see more people, get into this field. Obviously, I'm passionate about it. I think the future is super bright for people who work in this industry and this functional area.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. I mean, then Sudeep, I know we'd had a long discussion, but I would like to say thank you to you for taking out time in your busy schedule and recording this with me. And I'm really happy with the way discussions have happened, and I hope this brings value to the people who listen to this.
Yeah, this was a fascinating discussion. And yeah, thanks so much for having me, Ronak. I hope your audience finds value in it. But again, I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation with you.
Thank you, Sudeep. Thank
Thanks
you,
for having me.
thank you.